Welcome to the Fatherhood Fitness Podcast. I'm your host, Anthony Pluff. Each week, we will cover various topics that dads struggle with in their fitness journey. I'll give you actionable steps that you can apply right away, not only to take back control of your own health, but so you're able to be a better example for your kids too. All right, welcome in. We're going to be talking today about the simple habit that changes everything. Now, this past week, we just had Thanksgiving. We had, you're probably traveling, you're with family. There's probably a lot going on that, there was food around, maybe it kind of knocks you out of your normal routine a little bit. That's okay, right? Obviously, that's to be expected. We go from Thanksgiving to a very quick turnaround to Christmas this year. We have Christmas in just 3.5 short weeks here, and so the holiday season is all going to be very condensed this year. Thanksgiving, Christmas, New Year's, all within just over 4 weeks this year. And so there's going to be a lot of holiday parties. There's going to be a lot of food around, and that doesn't mean that it has to be a stressful time of year. For many people, this can be. But so this year, one thing that I did is I ran a Thanksgiving tune-up challenge. And so we had a good number of individuals sign up for the challenge. And the whole purpose of the challenge, it was 7 days. And the entire purpose of the challenge was to be able to just stay in control really over Thanksgiving. And so the purpose was to not just only stay in control for Thanksgiving, but be able to kind of start to be introduced to certain habits, certain a certain lifestyle that is going to be able to be something you can build off of for Christmas, for New Year's, for the rest of the year, for moving into 2025 as well. And so we had quite a few dads sign up for that. And if participants were able to complete the challenge with 80% consistency, they were entered to win a $100 gift card. And so all they had to do was complete the challenge. And so they were trying to get 2 workouts in those 7 days, get at least 7,500 steps, eat until satisfied, not until full, and then really just kind of focus on, just building a foundation moving forward. And so, and the last one I forgot to mention was drinking 64 ounces of water. So a lot of those things don't sound super challenging, but for a lot of people, they aren't doing these basic things. We can look at supplements, we can look at, just kind of maybe more extreme workouts. And we can wonder if there's something we're missing that's keeping us from seeing results. But a lot of times it comes back to the basics. If you don't have the basics covered, then nothing else really matters, right? If you're not sleeping well, if you're not drinking enough water, if you're not, getting enough protein in, if you're not eating the right amount of calories for you, then adding supplements, adding in, more intense workouts really isn't going to move the needle. And so one of the things that we focus on that we're going to talk about today is eating until satisfied. Now, this is one of my favorite habits to teach my clients. And so typically when I'm working with my clients one-on-one, we focus on certain habits 2 weeks at a time. Now, ideally, I would like to go longer on certain habits because it definitely takes more than 2 weeks for a habit to stick, to solidify it, and to actually make it a part of your life. But I usually focus on them for 2 weeks. 1 week is too short. Lots of things can come up. If you're traveling, you're out of town, you're sick, your kids are sick, your wife's sick, something like that, and you're not able to read the lessons, focus on things for the first 2 or 3 days. 1 week to focus on a habit can happen pretty quickly. It can go by and you never even feel like you got a chance to implement it. And so that's why I focus on 2 weeks. Anything longer than 2 weeks for a lot of times, especially if clients sign up for my 12-week program, it can get a little mundane. It can get a little monotonous. And so we want to focus on things. We want to make sure that you're not only getting the information that you need, but you're also motivated as well. So we do switch things up every couple of weeks. But eating until satisfied is one of the habits that is my most favorite to implement with clients and to teach them. And so when it comes to nutrition, I'm all about simplicity, right? And so overcomplicating your diet, doing lots of restrictive things, cutting things out that you actually enjoy, can obviously, yes, lead to short term results. But if you've ever met somebody, or maybe you've tried a diet that's very restrictive, where you cut out all your favorite foods, you drop your calories super low, there's a good chance that the results were only short term, right? Now, there is a time and there is a place for these diets, right? If you have a lot of weight to lose, then we want to get you healthy as quickly as possible, right? Because to be blunt, it can mean life or death, right? The more weight you have on, the more risk factors you have, right? The more it starts to affect your health, the more it starts to affect your quality of life. And so if we can get you into a healthy weight range quicker, yeah, we want to do that, right? But we also want to make sure, long term, we are able to implement habits, we're able to implement a structure and a strategy that you're going to be able to stick to, right? So dropping your calories down to 1200 is not going to be sustainable long term. And so that's why I like to focus on habits with my clients. We focus on other things too. We do track our food, we do other things, but focusing on how we eat is just as important as what we eat when it comes to weight loss. And so eating until satisfied. So what does that even mean, right? And so understanding the difference between satisfied and full is going to be the biggest thing to kind of put up front there, right? And so we want to recognize our body's hunger and fullness cues. And so that's why slowing down. So when I'm working with clients, we focus on eating slowly, and then we go into eating until satisfied. For this challenge, we focus on eating until satisfied. We only had a week, so we had to kind of pick and choose, right? And so what does eating until satisfied mean? And so sometimes we call this eating until 80% full. If you ever notice when you're eating, you feel pretty good after your first plate, and so you go back and you eat your second plate. And then what happens like 15 or 20 minutes later is that your stomach hurts. You felt like you ate way too much. And you tell yourself you're not going to do this again until next time when we do the same thing, right? And so eating until satisfied, how we know when we're about 80% full is that if you drank a glass of water after your meal, or you waited 10 minutes and you felt you were pretty good, you were good to go for a few hours, and that you didn't necessarily need more, you may want more food, but you didn't necessarily need more, that's a good cue that you're at 80% full. You're at satisfied rather until full. If you eat until the point that your stomach is hurting, you're not feeling good, then we went too far, right? So what this habit does is it allows you to practice portion control, right? And so for the 7 weeks of the challenge, what we had the participants do was stop eating when they were satisfied rather until full. So what that means, for a lot of people, is that's one plate, right? So that's what we worked on Thanksgiving. And so you can have all the turkey you want, the mashed potatoes, the stuffing, all those things on your plate, the green bean casserole, but we're going to stop, right? And so for a lot of dads, what that meant is they were stopping at one plate. So that's one thing we focus on. We talked about, Thanksgiving is a special time of year. It is an occasion that only comes, one day a year. And so if they didn't want to practice that, if they wanted to just enjoy themselves after a hard week of work, great, go and enjoy yourself with your family. But the feedback that I got from the participants is that eating until satisfied was actually a lot easier for them on Thanksgiving because they'd been practicing it throughout the week, right? How do we get better at anything? We practice. That's something I talk to my kids about all the time. My son knows that on cue. Every time I ask him, he's talking about something's hard. He's talking about something he's not sure quite how to do it. I always ask him, how do we get better at something? And immediately he responds, practice, right? My daughter's, she's a little bit younger. She's starting to do the same thing, right? When my youngest gets a little older, we're going to implement the same thing because it's so important, right? There's a lot of things that we're not necessarily good at right away, but that's the difference between, that growth mindset and the fixed mindset. And the clients that have the most success all have a growth mindset. They may not be great at something yet, but through practice, we can get better, right? And so eating until satisfied is something that's probably not natural to you, right? It's a very foreign concept, right? You may have grown up with parents who always talked about finishing. You need to finish your plate. We don't waste food in this family. Well, unfortunately, or fortunately, we live in a society now where we have refrigeration, right? Our grandparents grew up in a time where refrigeration may not have been in every single home. Wasting food may have meant that we're not only not being able to eat it today, but we can't eat it tomorrow too because they have no way to save it. So our parents grew up with that in their minds. They just passed it down to us without questioning it now, right? So we can save our food. We can put it in the refrigerator, right? There's no shortage of food, right? If anything, we are in excess. Even though the economy might not be great right now, prices of food are up. We still have food available to us whenever we want. And so instead of feeling like we need to just finish it, we want to practice just eating until we're satisfied, right? Because this is something I really love this habit. This is one of my favorite habits to work on with clients and with myself, because this is something that you can do anywhere, right? You can do this at Thanksgiving. You can do this at your Christmas dinner, right? You can do this at lunch with your coworkers. You can do this at dinner with your family, right? You don't need a food scale. You don't need to portion things out. You don't need to weigh your food to eat until satisfied, right? And so this habit right here is one of the most foundational pieces of my program that I work with clients, the Fatherhood Fit Method. And so one of the things we always focus on is the first few weeks, we figure out where you are, right? If you already have a great grasp on a lot of nutritional concepts, then we can kind of jump over some of those things, right? But a lot of dads don't have that knowledge. They don't have that nutritional base, right? So this is something we focus on, and they seem really simple. Eating slowly, eating until satisfied can seem really simple, but they can also be game-changing habits, right? And so that's why I really love these. And this is something that I personally have to remind myself of too. Naturally, I'm a very fast eater. My kids tell me all the time, Daddy always is the first one done eating. Daddy eats so fast. I know I do. It is something I have to work on, right? Because there have been many times where, I will go and, maybe I wait too long to eat, and then my stomach hurts because I eat so quickly later on. And if you slow down, maybe you put your fork down between bites, sometimes that can seem inconvenient. So maybe if you just wait until you're done chewing your food before you put another in your mouth, you're going to slow down a little bit. You're going to start to realize that you may not need as much food as you thought to satisfy you. And then if we can stop when satisfied, it's going to make it much easier. You're going to feel better. Your digestion's going to be a little bit better. If you're eating before bed, you're probably going to sleep better because you're not going to have as much food in your system. And then you're also going to notice that's going to help you lose a little bit of weight too, right? You can lose weight without counting calories when you practice eating slowly, when you practice eating until satisfied, when you practice listening to your body's natural hunger cues. And so this is a simple habit that literally can change everything, right? And I know it sounds like, well, how do I even start with this? Your next meal, what I want you to do is you're going to eat what you normally do. I'm not going to have you change anything, right? You're not going to change anything you're eating. And so maybe you're just eating a cheeseburger and fries, right? And what you're going to do is you're just going to eat until you're satisfied. And then you're going to stop. And then you're going to do one of two things. You're going to save the rest for later, or you're just going to throw it away. There's no right or wrong answer there. But what this is going to allow you to do is it's going to allow you to still enjoy the foods you love. It's going to allow you to still enjoy the foods you normally eat, but you're still going to be able to make progress losing weight, right? Your stomach's going to feel a little bit better. Your digestion is going to feel a little bit better. You're not going to be as irritable, and sometimes I know when you eat too much or you're just eating very quickly, it can make you irritable. It can make your maybe a little indigestion there because you're eating way too quickly, and a lot of these issues can be solved if we just slow it down a little bit. And slowing down a little bit is going to allow us to eat until satisfied. And this is one of the most, I call this, kind of one of the super habits, right? If you can learn this habit, this is something you can implement today. You're not going to be great at it today. Very few things you're going to be great at right away. And so you're probably not going to be great at it the first time. It's a foreign concept. It's not going to be comfortable. That's okay. How do we get better at things? We practice, right? And so you're going to continue to practice this. You're going to practice this on your next meal, and then you're going to do it at the next meal. And you're going to continue this for a week and then evaluate. How's this going? How can I make this easier for me? I've noticed that, hey, I'm doing pretty well eating until satisfied, but the rest of my family's eating pretty quickly, and I realize I'm already done eating when they're still eating, so I want to eat a little bit more. Okay, awesome. That's great awareness. So maybe we need to slow it down a little bit, right? Maybe we need to wait to take those first couple of bites until they've had a couple of bites, right? There's lots of things you can do, but until we have some feedback, until we have some data, we can't make the next best move. And so eating until satisfied, this is what I want you to focus on. This is going to allow you to start seeing results. This is going to allow you to start not only feeling better after you eat, not only feeling less sluggish, but it's going to allow you to start losing weight without changing what you're eating. Yes, it's important that we have nutritious meals. We're getting protein in our meals, but those things can come later, right? We can add those things later. And so we're not trying to just cut out everything. I don't believe in just cutting out everything. I believe in adding habits that are going to allow you to start seeing results right away. And so eating until satisfied, practice this week. If you have any questions, reach out to me on Instagram, on Facebook. Send me an email. All my information is in the show notes. But practice this week. Let me know how it goes. I'd love to hear from you. That concludes this episode of the Fatherhood Fitness Podcast. Thank you for those of you who took time out of your busy schedules to listen. If you have any questions or comments or an idea for a topic for a future episode, please feel free to reach out, and I'd love to hear from you.